Hello everybody, Andy here, AK Montolio, and we are back for a vintage challenge today, and we're going to play some HollowVine. I've been having a fair amount of success with this deck recently, and if it's not broken, don't fix it. So we're going to continue to try to exploit the powers of this deck in the current metagame. I do think this is a reasonably well-positioned deck as there's a lot of combo decks running around, and the obvious counter suite this deck holds is very strong against those strategies. So, for example, Jewel Shops, Doomsday, Beseech, these all fall prey to Mind Break traps, for instance. And this deck is, at its core, an aggro control deck. So, against the creature strategies, Lurrus, for example, we have a very powerful game against them because we can overwhelm them with all of our creatures and temple them out with our counter magic. So an example of that would be, let's say preferably we're on the draw, we Bazaar, Hollow One, Root Walla, Benjamin, go. Opponent wastelands you, you ride your creatures to victory with your counter suite. That's the idea of how we're able to beat those decks. And Oath of Druids, we are definitely a little bit soft too because of Resolved Oath of Druids. Basically, we're not going to beat it. Post board, we do get a little bit better because we have a couple Caracases, and if we have a very established board presence, having already chipped away at them, we can just bounce an Atraxa for lethal. But ideally, we're able to counter the Oath and ride that to victory from there. Certainly, we can beat it. It's just a tougher matchup for us because we're so vulnerable to an Atraxa. But as you can see, I've skewed playing snapbacks in my current list. I am not seeing a lot of Sinks of the Steel Wind out in the metagame right now. And not to say it's not out there, because I know people still run them, but I just haven't ran into it. More than once or twice over the last month since I picked this deck back up. So I am audibling towards not playing snapbacks against my better judgment. And what I'm doing in my sideboard is, reasonably stock. I'm expecting a lot of people to play this. Dredge is well positioned right now. I believe Leyline of the Void is just the better call to combat those decks. And so I'm playing those. And I'm going to play a couple Surgical Extractions because in the event that this gets killed with a Force of Vigor, if I'm lucky enough to have it in my opener against the aforementioned decks, Surgical Extraction is very powerful, especially in the mirror where you're able to take away a Bazaar of Baghdad from your opponent, and really they have to have a big board presence to beat you, otherwise you will get them eventually. Fury, Pyrokinesis. These cards are, white initiative matchup to be able to kill Bowmasters, Hull Breachers, those sort of things. Cards that really impact our ability to function. And Caracas is just a non-starter for us. I think Caracas is important for two reasons. Number one, it gets Lavinia. Number two, it gets Lurrus. And despite Lurrus can still do things like return baubles and get card value because they will have control of the turn once they play Lurrus, it's still really strong, making them have to recast it every turn. Of course, there's lots of splash damage. As I mentioned earlier, you can hit things like Atraxa, very powerful. Thalia, very powerful, being able to do things like that. The Singleton Ghost Quarter, I think it's more in style to run two. I am going to run one today. And Ghost Quarter is just a really good utility land. Obviously, it's good at hitting things like Tabernacle of Pendrell Vale. In my opinion, that is the main reason to run this, but of course it hits lots of other lands, and sometimes it's just straight up a Wasteland or Strip Mine if people are cheating on basics in their deck. Getting rid of a Vital Urza Saga at the right time, pretty good. Library of Alexandra. So this is a card that I've played, multiple times throughout my tenure playing this deck, and the idea behind this card is that post board, one of your opponent's main plays against you is to go turn one Pithing Needle. And yes, you can counter that, and we will always try to do that given the opportunity. But in the event that we don't have an answer to that, Library of Alexandria is a card that is going to allow me, if I can keep my 7, I can keep drawing cards, discarding Squeeze, and building up a critical amount of cards in my hand to be able to do the old Basking Root Walla into Benjamin plan. when you're discarding them. And of course, sometimes you're just going to draw into your answers. It's a little bit gimmicky, but I have had times where it's been quite successful. And I think people are starting to really catch on to that. This is a big dog in the metagame again and are going to be coming gunning for us. And this is just that little bit of extra tech to help me get over the top should I get into trouble with a pithing needle. And if this card draws enough cards, it's really powerful. Yeah, I think of an example. Like I have 7 cards in my hand. I've got lots of counter magic going. You know, there's a pithing needle on the opposing side of the board. My Library of Alexander is going off. I'm discarding a couple Squeeze or a Master of Death at end of turn. You know, I Force of Will, whatever it is that my opponent does. Well, Squeeze come back, and guess what? I'm drawing off of Library again because I'm back up to the critical 7. And so you can do things like that where you can just tempo your opponent out, even though you're not really applying any pressure. Eventually, you will get there with this deck if you draw enough cards. So that's it, guys. Appreciate you hanging out as always. Let's have a good run today. Like, comment, subscribe, and we're going to see you round 1. Okay, guys, here we are in round 1. We've run into Jose. And Jose has range. I think of them mostly as a white initiative player, but I know that they've also been playing the Shurkan PO deck, Luris deck. So let's see what we're dealing with. That's a Maul. Okay, great. I'm going to keep this one. I think I can let one of the Wastelands go here. So they've mulliganed as well. The issue that I'm faced with right here is that I'm very vulnerable to a Wasteland. So we are indeed playing against initiative, and that is somewhat problematic for us. We got to get our Bazaar in and just hope. Okay, we did find a Noxus Revival, which I guess is something. We might have to burn a Force of Will here, though, in order to get our Bazaar back with our Noxus Revival. Because of the Chancellor. So we did indeed get Wastelanded here. All right. So what I'm going to do here, guys, is I'm going to... I guess I can let the Chrome Mox resolve. The reason I'm doing this is if they play a second Mox, I can just burn the Mindbreak Trap. Okay, so that is going to happen. We'll see if they... I can't stop this. I guess what I could do is if I wanted to completely stop this and not have my Bazaar, I could just burn my Noxus Revival and Mindbreak Trap this, and then it'll slow them down. The issue I have is what am I doing in the interim? I just need to play Bazaar. I'm not thrilled about this outcome here because I think I could have really hurt them by Mindbreak Trapping that. The problem is I don't know what the top of my deck is going to bring me, and I need to have my Bazaar. This is going to be hard for me to beat, but I certainly can beat it. Okay. All right, guys. This is not super optimal the way we're set up here, but if they leave our bazaar alone, there is a way we could find our way back into this game, perhaps. No, we'd have to hit extremely well to make that work, but I'm not feeling good about this particular game, obviously. You know, I guess the question I have was I better to mind break trap the seasoned dungeoneer, and I may just have needed to take the gamble off the top of my library that I was going to draw something. Now I know I was drawing at least 2 dead cards with another squee and a chalice, but how much would I have slowed them down without giving them a second land? Hard to know. Like we kind of need to hit like I don't know Vengevine Hollow One Root Walla here for this to really work. Even then, I think I'm just dead next turn, right? It's gonna be 6, 7, 5, 12 exactly. Yeah, we're dead. Yeah, I think a little bit of a misplay on my part there. I should have been able to do the math with the seasoned dungeoneer that it was not going to be a beatable card. And to be clear, I'm going to lose this game either way, given that I knew the 2 cards off the top of my library were what they were. There was a very reasonable chance my opponent just plainly outdrew me. Because I knew I was drawing dead cards there. But I still think the correct line was to actually Noxious Revival, burning their Chancellor trigger. That's what we lost to, guys, was the Chancellor trigger. Yeah, it's just not enough. Okay, let's move on to game 2 here. Chancellor is definitely one of the unsung heroes of that deck. It's extremely potent. And maybe want Caracas. Definitely want Chalice on the play. I don't think I need all of these Force of Vigors. Like, I don't think Force of Vigor really does much for me, to be perfectly honest. Just something like this. Like, if they've got the ley line, their list only has 1 ley line in it, so... But that may have changed. Maybe I'm just being really greedy. Take the library out of there. I don't mind library, though. Honestly, with Wasteland, it's not terrible. To be honest, though, I don't mind. You know what? I'm going to keep in a Force Negation. I'm going to take out a... I'm just going to get really greedy and not play any Force of Vigors here. I think the only card that I really care about is Leyline of the Void that their deck would run, and I don't actually think they run... I think they only run a Singleton. That's a Mull. Okay, that works. So we've got an answer to one of their creatures here. The problem that we're looking at here is we don't currently have any pressure. We're going to keep this one and put a power away. So really, we're just looking for a second Bazaar here or a Noxious Revival, and praying that we don't see a Chancellor trigger. Chancellor is going to be problematic for us, given the way we're comprised right now. I mean, if we have to burn a root wall, it's not a big deal. Okay, no ley line. I'm just all about turning my library on here, guys. Next turn. Like, if they wasteland me, yeah, it's a bummer, but... Okay, Mindbreak Trap would have been good here. 3-ball. Okay, 3-ball is pretty good. Good insofar as that it's probably going to kill me. I maybe should have wastelanded, eh? The good news is we're drawing cards here. The bad news is that we're probably going to die horrifically to what my opponent's doing. 3-ball's a tough one. We didn't have counter magic for it. Okay, that's going to get my Bazaar. We'll see if they actually... Yeah, they're going to take Bazaar, right? Maybe they don't want me drawing extra cards off of Library of Alexandra. I'd be thrilled with that. Like, if they don't have Wasteland here, there is a world where I get up to 3 mana. Yeah, that's the correct one. Okay, well... Keep discarding here, I guess. Hopefully my opponent just is all on lands here. Non-wasteland type of lands. Can't stop an Archon. That's unfortunate. Okay. And we're going to do another one, huh? The 3-ball is just such a problem. And I have no vigors. It'd be very, very difficult for me to navigate my way through that. I don't see a world where I'm ever going to be able to use Force of Will here. Okay. I will be able to Fury next turn, at least that's something. But we are getting into a really difficult spot. So I cannot use my library this turn because I'm going to need to cast through the 3-ball. Don't think I want to pay the life here. Okay, let's bazaar. Going to play out a wasteland here in case I get wastelanded. We should, if they don't pressure us here, like if they don't cast something else, I think we actually do have a chance. Okay, that's not bad. Okay, they are casting something. Okay. I am going to draw with library. Not paying any life because we just do not have the luxury of doing that. These Archons are such a pain. They could have a Containment Priest here. Containment Priest is problematic, but I'm going to mop the ground up, I guess. But I can't because I can't do anything. I can't cast anything, any creatures. I don't think it changes anything. I think we just have to go. Yeah, the hollow ones are just so nice, but they're costing me too much through the Trinisphere. Hmm. All right. Well, probably I'm just going to. I might need the revival to bring something back, but the problem with the revival is I'm going to be at low life here. But I might just need to give myself that option. They did not flash anything. Okay. Oh, they have the angel. Well, it's one of them at least. If, I guess I just I can't cast two spells in a turn for these vines quite yet. If I find one more land, let's see. Am I going to get up to 7 this turn? I am. Okay. I don't think I want to pay the life here. If I can just find one more, like, first of all, what I need is I need one of my pyrokinesis or one of my furies. And I need another land that taps for mana. And then I can get my vines back, perhaps. I have multiple vines in my graveyard here, 2 vines, which is going to pressure my opponent very quickly. But there's a number of things that need to go right for me to be able to do this. I will say, guys, Library Alexandria has been very good in this particular game. Okay. Let's draw. So what am I going to do about this thing? I guess let's Bazaar and see what our options are from there. We need removal is the next thing we need. A Fury or a Pyrokinesis. We didn't find any. Probably can let a Bazaar go at this point. Noxious Revival is going to be turned off here. Maybe you know what my mistake was? As I needed to actually Noxious here. Because now I've turned off my ability to bring back these things, and I've forced myself to find one. Maybe I better keep it just in case they Fury me here. All right. Well, tough spot. Just hardcast Solitude. Okay, that doesn't kill me. But close. That pretty much does kill me. The fact I've got myself up to 6 mana to be able to bring these vines back is nothing short of remarkable. If I find a Fury here, I can win this game. I did not, currently. Let's find a Fury and a Vengevine. How's that sound? Okay. We'll discard the green one because we want the red for removal. Oh, I can't bring my vines back because of Archon. So I kind of just threw this. I've thrown it in a couple times. I should have Noxious last turn to be able to remove this because I had the life to pay. And because I didn't do that, I've put myself in a very difficult position here. I can't draw either. I can't draw a card. Yeah, they got me, guys. Tough round one here. How good was that Library of Alexandria in a tough loss? Okay, guys, here we are in round two. Playing against Janky B, and they were playing Blue-White Luris the other day, if I recall correctly. It was an interesting build. Had a sleight of hand, as I recall. There's Luris. Okay. Okay, we're going to powder this one. I'm going to put one of my Vengevines back on the bottom here. I don't want to lose two of them. Okay. Let's see if we can hit a Vine or a Hollow one here. I think this will be really helpful because I'm quite worried about getting Wastelanded here. Or a Bazaar would be fine too. Okay, we did hit. And that's pretty important here given the way that hand was looking, that we're going to be able to apply some pressure. We've got good counter magic and a Wasteland here to buy us some time should we get Wastelanded. Just hope that's enough. Let's see. It's nice having the misstep and the forces here in a Wasteland. Really, it's kind of a perfect counter package. Maybe a misdirection might be a little bit better than one of the forces in the event we were able to try and get a... Yeah, I mean, that's fine. In truth, I don't even know if I'll Bazaar next turn. If I draw a Root Wall, I will. My opponent paying the 2 life there is not irrelevant. Okay, they have played... yeah, and this is fine. I'm not going to fight over a Ponder. Hollow one's really nice. All right. Well, I think I am all set up here to try and go off here. Don't need the Mind Break Trap. I guess, I mean, I just can't keep all of this, right? That's the issue. Dump a Force of Will. And I guess a Bazaar. Question is, do we fight over this? Now look, hopefully this is enough. I mean, it's a lot of pressure coming at my opponent here. And they are dead next turn, so I don't think a Swords will do it. Yeah, Swords does keep them alive. Okay, nice game one win for us there. It's exactly what we're looking to do. So my opponent, I think, plays Jeskai, is truly what we're up against here. And they definitely have Lavinias. Let's see if we can bring these packages in. I don't think we likely need all our Vigors. This is maybe cheating a little bit. We're going to have to find a pretty quick here what we want to do. I don't think Mind Break Track is likely what we're looking for in this matchup, but I think Chalice can probably go on the draw. Once again, I am going to cheat on just given what I know from their list on Magic Online, not to say they couldn't have titrated it and have something like Pithing Needle or Leyline, but I think this is kind of where I want to be here. Let's try this. I'm going pretty heavy on removal because I believe they have like Dreadhorde Arcanists and things like that. And I do think it's worth having answers for those things. And of course, Lavinia itself. Or not Lavinia, Lurrus itself. Lavinia we have Caracas for. This again is a strong start from us here if they don't have Leyline. No, they do run a couple Tabernacles. I'm aware of that. We're keeping this one. So they held at 6. Having the Mox is pretty good here for them. It could be a Containment Priest. So if they're going for Containment Priest here, it's probably not great sequencing from them. It is, because now they've exposed their Containment Priest to my Fury. So what we're going to do is something to this effect. Yep, just like this. So my opponent should have waited until I triggered the vine, should I had a vine. But instead, the way they did it is they put themselves in a position where I can kill their Containment Priest. Oh, no, I can't do it. Oh, they did do it right. My bad, my bad. My bad. Okay. Force of Will. All right. Well, I kind of screwed that up, but in a way, I think it's okay. I've got a Hollow one here, and we have some recursion with our Master. Nonetheless, it wasn't as egregious as I thought it was, the way my opponent sequenced that, but it was still poor sequencing. They didn't need to expose it, because had that been a Pyrokinesis on my part, it wouldn't have looked as good for them. So what we need to do is fade a Tabernacle here. I am concerned about it because I'm in quite a bit of trouble. Don't want to see a Wasteland either, but I think dodging both of these is probably a tall order. My opponent did not find a land, guys. I am going to Bazaar. I don't think it is worth bringing the Root Wall in right now. My opponent is showing a bit of weakness here with their mana. They might have a Swords. But if they're Brainstorm locked, then I think that's a good thing for me. It's a game. Keep going. I am going to continue to apply pressure. Like, look, a Tabernacle off the top is not great for me, but I think it's okay. We just have to, they're probably going to force that anyways. If I ever find red removal here, then my red root walla will be helpful there. Continue to keep going here. I do like all of these. I'm going to get a little bit greedy here. I'm going to play around the tab. And I really want to get my library going, right? This is what I'm contemplating, but it's not important right now. We will be able to go wide here on my opponent this turn. All right, nice win for us. See you next round. Okay, guys, here we are in round 3. And this is a pretty nice looking hand. We did not win the die roll, but my opponent's last result was with Jewel. And this is a pretty nice hand against Jewel. Now, that said, I don't know if they're actually on that, but we're about to find out. So, do we want a vigor here? I mean, I can let them have the mana. Lotus. Okay. I could trap that. I'm not going to. That I will trap. All right, so I do think we probably want a vigor. What we could do is we could wait until our next turn to see if we find another green card or a wasteland, which makes the decision easier for us. I don't think we're under any pressure to do anything right this second. So we can wait a minute. So that's why we wanted to wait. So let's bazaar and see what we can find here. Yeah, this was just really shaped up just perfectly, really. I mean, I don't think they have a force. Otherwise, I think they would have countered what we were doing. So what I'm going to do is in their upkeep, I'm going to kill their Soul Ring and their Urza Saga. And hopefully that's enough. I have been in situations like this against Jewel where I felt like I'm just in a completely superior position, and all of a sudden they've just been able to put out more permanents. We're looking for a wasteland here. So they're dead next turn, and we have force back up here. Okay, nice win for us there. Last weekend, I played against Jewel in the top 8 with HollowVine, and I had a similar situation where I just felt completely dominant. And, beg your pardon, excuse me. And just as I was saying, I force a vigor, then I force a willed one of their plays, and I kind of gutted my hand and didn't, I guess, have the recursion of the squeeze and the masters going. And they just started casting permanents. The next thing I knew, they had a Jewel down, and I don't need to tell you what happens from there. So I think Noxious Revival is at an all-time low here. I'm just contemplating whether I want to bring in a couple Furies to help me combat Worm Coils. Worm Coils are a real problem for me in my deck. Misdirection I think is worth keeping because it will help me win a counter battle, and there is the off chance that they get an Ancestral, which could be a game-changing play for me. I think this gets a lot harder post-board. But what would I take out? That's the question I want to ask myself here. Like, is Pyrokinesis better than more green spells in my deck? That's the question I have, because as you saw last game, I was able to animate a vine because I found an Noxious Revival. So I think that this is worth going here. And I'm once again going to try the library plan. If we get into a bit of a stalemate here, this is a card that could help me, despite I don't think it's great. Okay, this would have been perfect if it was a Bazaar, but we do have to mulligan that one. Okay, this is a nice looking hand. Okay. One. This right into a ring, eh? Ring is not good for me. Okay, I like the Force. I hope I can find another blue spell here. I didn't. Not ideal, guys. They're probably going to play a Jewel here. There's not much I can do about it. I'm not going to use a Force of Vigor just on a Mox Ruby. It's a losing strategy doing that. Here comes the Jewel. I will let that resolve. If they metamorph here, I will do it. And that's what it looks like is going to happen here. But this one's gotten away from us for sure. Like, I feel like this is a really difficult matchup. When you have hands like I did game one, yes, you can manage them. But this is just an example of, like, my opponent kind of had what I would deem to be a pretty mediocre hand in general. Okay, that did work. So they can copy their ring here and get a blanket effect. Oh, they sacrificed the other one. Interesting. Okay. They just want the card. All right. Well, I mean, look. We got the squee coming back here. If we can get some pressure going on the table and get a wasteland here this turn, like, we're not in the worst position. We are going to need some help to be able to win this game. And I think it starts by finding a blue card here in addition to animating my vine. I cannot deal damage this turn because of the ring effect. But I think vine or no vine, I have to put in the root wall to give me some semblance of help against being able to find... Ooh, that's not bad, actually. Okay, so we do get the vine going. The bad news is I don't really have any interaction here. I'll be honest, I don't know that we're going to get to library this game. I don't think so. Okay. No pointing and attacking. We just have to hope here, guys. Like, I'm going to be dealing a substantial amount of damage next turn unless I get Tabernacled. Ancient Tomb. Okay, that was a good draw for them. I was hoping we were not going to face down a ring this turn. They already have a lot of cards in hand. Hopefully they don't have another land. We really just want to avoid Jewel here if we can. All right. Worm Coil. Oh, boy. Yep. All right. Well, I mean, this is where the world we're living in, guys. Cage. Cage is not the worst for me right now. Okay. I just need to buy as much time as I possibly can here. Can't get in right now. This could be dealing damage. Ancient Tomb, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, I think I leave the tombs. Maybe I don't. I mean, they're just going to be drawing so many cards this turn. Does it even really matter? I think it does. I think I just have to do my best to inhibit them here. I can't attack this turn. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, in the upkeep, maybe I wait for the ring, but I would like to force a vigor the Worm Coil. I don't know if I want to actually get rid of the Mana Crypt here, but it's so good from a mana perspective. I need them to lose this. Okay, they did. This puts them to 5. I guess I let them draw. Like, it's possible they have Force of Will here, guys, and it's really bad for me, but maybe not. Like, let's see if they draw. They've got to be really careful because of that Mana Crypt. So I think I go now. Do I take that Mana Crypt? I don't think I do, guys. Like, this is a gamble to work here. But if they don't have a force, okay, it did work. Excuse me. This means that a Mana Crypt flip, like, I mean, I have to get through this turn. Oh, Lotus. Oh, no. Okay. Yeah. All right. I mean, look, we put up a good fight here for sure. They can PO this stuff all back to their hand. Oh, just another ring. Okay. All right. If that's all they're doing, I'm not averse to this. They can't really use their Ancient Tomb here. I mean, I guess they could, but it's risky. They have Tinkerer? Yeah, okay, they got rid of the Mana Crypt. All right, well, I mean, that's smart. Another Worm Coil. Oh, they have a cage. They forgot about their cage. How huge is that? All right, well, I mean, they still have a ton of mana, or a ton of cards in their hand. How do I win this? That was really lucky that they gave me that break there. How do I win this? I can't attack next turn. Okay. Do I want the Mindbreak Trap here? Right, they attack me for 3. I kill it. They gain 3. They go up to 8. I sit back on this. And I do 4, 5, 6. But that means if they use their tomb, I'll have another root wall here. I'm not sure if this is correct, guys, but I'm going to keep the Mindbreak Trap. I do think the Hollow one would be very good, but you can't have everything. And I feel like my opponent is going to realize that they are in a difficult position here next turn. I do believe they're going to start drawing cards here, and there's a potential for me getting them with a Mindbreak Trap on a critical spell. And I can recoup again next turn. I can try. Like, this is a tough spot for us, but see, they did draw, putting them down to 4, and now that Ancient Tomb is not a joke. Right, they're going down to 4, and I can outlast what they have here on the board if they're taking damage from these things. I acknowledge that they can gain some life, but they are going to try and go all in here. And who's to say what I'm doing is even going to work? Now, I don't know what's right. We're going to see. My opponent didn't do anything. And so, obviously, the Hollow one would have been a lot better in that situation. So I did get punished for that decision making. There's a trap. All right, well, let's see what we can find here. Wasteland would be great. Chalice was actually really good. So they're going to go to 2 here. I feel like Chalice is a really good spell to have. So if I attack with these 2 things, they can block here. They will gain 3. Block here. That would put them up to 7, and it would be 5. They'd go to 1 and die. So I think I can attack with everything here, right? Am I misinterpreting this? They can go up to 7. I hope I'm not screwing this up, guys, but I do believe that I have to attack with everything. Yeah, they just block my 2 big guys. Yeah, that's what they have to do. But this puts them dead to the ring, right? Oh, no, they didn't lose any life. Okay, let's see how good this Chalice is. Yeah, the Hollow one would have won it for me there. Well, they did have a force. Okay. Well, let's see how good this Mindbreak Trap's going to be. They're going down to 1 here. They cannot use their Ancient Tomb. Now, I could die here, but they cannot force a will. So my Mindbreak Trap could be backbreaking. Yes, I don't know how we pulled that one out, guys. That was such a nice win for us. Um, there were some extremely difficult decision points there for me, far harder than I normally face, and there was about two or three of them. The big one was, do I discard the hollow one or do I discard the main mind break trap? And in hindsight, I probably would have won the way things shook out had I had the hollow one a turn earlier. But this mind break trap and the position I ended up in offered me a level of security that I may not have otherwise had. So I do think there was strong validity to both of those decision points. But we'll see you next round. Okay, guys, here we are in round 4. And Fire Truck is also a bizarre player. From what I recall of them, and likely on the same list as us, Squee specifically, not the exact build per se. And so these matchups are always very interesting to play. And it requires a little bit of luck. I find that typically the person that has the bigger aggro hand to start the game likely will win the game. That said, being on the play is important as it usually is in vintage. And, if the opponent has a mediocre start, gets wastelanded, and is unable to recuperate their bazaar back or have another bazaar in their hand, they could lose pretty quickly. Okay, so this one's not going to work. This hand is decent. We'll put back a powder. Obviously, we are not looking like we have a very efficient hand here. We are going to need some help for this to come together for us, but who's to say our opponent's going to have an amazing start too. So what I think we're looking for here is to start is depending on how potent of a start they have. One of our better lines may be to strip mine and force a will their Noxious Revival, but they have kept 7 here, so we'll see what this portends for us. Wouldn't mind a double hollow one here that we could kill. So they've had a good start. If they follow this up with a hollow one, we're probably losing. Okay. Do they have a hollow one to follow up here? Feels like they do. This would be a peculiar pause. I guess my opponent doesn't know what we're playing here, so they're playing out the Chalice. Okay, we did find a blue card. So look, we are taking a substantial amount of damage here, trying to employ this strategy, and we're going to need to get a bit lucky that we can find something that can stop these here. I beg your pardon, excuse me. Okay, there is a Vengevine, so we have a chance here of bringing back a vine we didn't actually hit. So this is really awkward because I'm going to go down to 4 here. Okay, just it is what it is. We're going to wait till next turn. Awkward, guys. All right. But us finding the second bazaar here was pretty important. Now, the issue we might face is resolving our hollow one here, which puts us in a really bad spot. Like if we find a hollow one, it might be tough, but let's see what we can find here. Because my opponent is just sitting back on things here. I think we need to bring this back. We're just in a difficult enough position that we need all the help we can get here. That is not what we're looking for. Okay, that does work. The reason I'm doing it this way is because we have a second bazaar. Now, there's a world where my opponent could Noxious Revival our bazaar, or our Vengevine. Hollow one here would be so good. Okay, we didn't do as well as I would have liked there, but that's okay. Okay, that is in, which is good news for me. They did not counter anything, guys. Okay, well, it's very possible they have a Fury here in hand. Our Noxious Revivals are not looking great. But this would require them to have Fury and Force of Will back up to make it work, because their other counter magic will not stop me here. We'll just trade resources. They have moved to combat here, so unless they have main deck Pyrokinesis or something like a Gut Shot. I'd be thrilled if they moved to combat here so we could just trade. Okay. Okay. There still could be a Pyrokinesis here. No, they've let me move to blocks. Okay. Okay. I am going to pay here. Let's see what we can do, guys. Magnificent. Maybe should have used my second Bazaar there. They have Force of Will. Okay. All right. Really want to kill them here as quick as I can. I could be moving towards a manual discard. I'm not going to bring this to hand here. I would like to have my Force of Will online. I think is more important here. Do it this way. And this way, if I find a Vengevine, I did not. Okay. But getting all these guys down matters. Okay. One away from killing them here. So next turn, I can turn off their Noxious Revival if they have one. And we try and go for a vine here. We didn't hit. Okay, they're at 1. Noxious Revival is off. Now, we could die here if they find a Bazaar. Okay. And we will take that. And so, bring in some surgicals. And I do think we want some number of these. This direction's probably not where I want to be. So the last list my opponent was playing did not have Leyline of the Void. They were on surgical extractions. I guess my question is how far do I want to go down on Force of Vigor? Do we cheat? Where I like misdirection is to deflect a surgical, but it's probably not necessary. Let's try this out. Look, I think being extra greedy on the Force of Vigors is an unnecessary risk unless we know that this is the case, that they don't actually have Leyline of the Void. Because my opponent is going to have a distinct advantage. Okay, our hand is pretty nice. Like us having Leyline is pretty big game here. Now, once again, as I said last game, if my opponent is the one that has the big turbo hand, it's a lot tougher on us. Okay, they obviously have Force of Vigor here. Look, I'm just going to hope they don't have it. There are definite risks to doing this line. They've got a whole bunch of squeeze. Wow. That's pretty savage if they have another Bazaar. I mean, we have a similar type of a hand, but they do have a second Bazaar. So I think we're probably losing this here. Unless we peel a surgical off the top, I feel like we're in a lot of trouble. Us having double notches here can save our bazaar with all likelihood. It's possible my opponent gets it, but the triple squee is just really going to be hard to beat here. The reason I held back my root wallas here is for a couple of reasons. Number one, we have squeeze to discard. Number two, I think that these are not impactful enough just on their own with all the removal that my opponent likely has in pyrokinesis and fury. And third, the most important being is that we really want some value with a Vengevine with it if we can. So this is where it gets awkward here. Because my opponent's got a lot of mana, a lot of cards in hand. And if we can't win this fight here, we're in a lot of trouble. But this is where we pick it. Hopefully they don't have anything here. But they did have the surgical. Okay, well, we're going to do it again and see if it works. If they have force of will, we just lose the game here. Or another surgical in hand. Okay, it did work. So that was lucky for us because my opponent has a lot of cards in hand. All right. So pleased to have a bazaar here. We'd love to find a second bazaar. We didn't. This is really awful, guys. That was about one of the worst things we could hit. Okay. Well, we are distinctly losing this game because we are about to get wastelanded here. Which is really, really awkward for us. Yeah, they're just going to do another surgical. Well, maybe they'll go for our squeeze here if we're lucky. This just shows the potency of Leyline, right? Like if Leyline was in this game, this is just a completely different game. My opponent would not be drawing any cards here. So we're going to need to get lucky here to have an opportunity to continue playing after this turn. Yeah, Wasteland into Surgical. Okay. And they just do it in upkeep, and it's GG's. So this is the little bit of a chess match that you have when you're playing the mirror here. So that said, perhaps we can find a wasteland and stymie them. That is a possibility. I am drawing back some cards with squeeze here. Perhaps, anyways. We can do the manual discard thing. I think that's highly improbable, but let's see what happens here. Like, I don't think that the position we're in here is just 100% a concession. And once again, guys, I realize that, not drawing my, putting my root walls into play, or like, wow, why aren't you pressuring your opponent? Yes, there is some merit to that for sure. Oh, they've just surgicaled my squeeze as well. Okay, now I don't think we can win. All right, well, I'm going to let them do it. Now that's a lot worse for us. And my opponent has had a very good hand here. There's no doubt about that. All right. So that's enough. Like if we were able to wasteland them there and potentially get them off their game or something, but okay. I do like the way we are set up here. I think I might need this misdirection though, as much as I dislike it. I don't think this library is worth it. Let's try this out. You know what? Maybe I just get rid of vigors here altogether. And we just load up here. Vigor has some utility against hollow ones, but I've got removal for those. Awesome. Yep, we're going to keep. The problem we have here is Wasteland, unfortunately. But my ley line gets to hang around. It's pretty good. Oh, that was magnificent. See, this is the type of hand we're looking for here, guys. Hopefully my opponent does not have vigor here. So I'm not going to play the hollow one until my second main, on the off chance that my opponent is going to waste Force of Vigor my thing, my ley line. But the smart player waits the second main, and I don't have the luxury of playing around it. I just have to go for it and hope they don't have it. And that's my play. We'll see if it's enough. With this deck, you don't really have the luxury. Yeah, my opponent is playing out here because they know that this is too much of a too much aggro for them, so they're going to try and find something to stop me here. Okay, a vine is gone, which is one less green spell they have to pitch. Okay, they found a hollow one. All right. Okay, that is not a great draw. Let's find a wasteland. Okay. Wish I had to sequence this differently. Attacked first. It is what it is. We're trying to get our beatdown going here. I wish I sequenced that better, guys. I did not find a wasteland either, which is quite unfortunate. They probably will just block my Vengevine here. Okay, I like that they're doing this. If that's what they're doing because of Force of Vigor, that's way better for me. See if my opponent figures it out. Okay, this is definitely advantageous for me. Now, they may have a Pyrokinesis here, and that changes everything. I mean, I have to play up my... It's a little bit embarrassing, but... All right. Really unfortunate we couldn't get their Bazaar there. But let's just hope. Like, it makes it so Fury and Pyrokinesis off the top are strong, potentially, if my opponent has something on the table. Okay. Yeah, they did get it. Okay. Okay, guys. Wasteland off the top, please. That is unfortunate. Well, we're going in with all our stuff here. They have our bazaars there that cost them 2 life. And if they don't have a pyrokinesis or fury in hand, we still have a good chance to win this game because of our board presence. And so this is a spot where library could be okay for us. Now we're quite a ways away from that, but we just got to keep on trying to win here. Yeah, they're just trying to buy time here. Okay. It's going to be close. So my opponent's thinking hard here. This is not a straightforward decision, but obviously they're under a substantial amount of duress here. They did find a root walla. Damn, they found a hollow one. Okay. That's unfortunate. But we just got to keep on pressing in here. Wasteland, Pyrokinesis, Fury would be fantastic here. That is not fantastic. We got to keep going here, guys. I am not in a position to do anything else. I have to try and kill my opponent here. Let's see. We need to get luck. Okay, so my opponent was able to get rid of my stuff here. They did a good job, but they are low on resources here. A wasteland could change the trajectory of this game significantly for me. And I am starting to continue up here with library. It's not the worst. It's going to be hard for me not having bazaars in my deck, but this is where I'm at. And Vengevines can come back. Surgical. Okay, not very good right now. We have to really hope there's no hollow one here. Root wall I can live with. Second bazaar, okay. Found a second root walla, okay. I think I wait a turn here, guys. If I can somehow get my library going, like, it's pretty good. And I do have removal for these root wallas here. Like, I've still got a bunch in my deck. I've got 3 Pyrokinesis, and I need to fade Wasteland. Okay, let's slow them down here. We're taking some damage. They want to take me off my library here, which I don't blame them. This is one of the few ways that I can win here. I'm really looking to draw a second root walla here, another wasteland. I wouldn't mind a blue card. Okay, there. There's the root walla. Okay. they're sitting back here. I have to go for it, right? Like, I just don't have a choice. See if they have removal here. Okay. They have pyrokinesis. Excuse me. Okay, they're going in here. So 2 of their wastelands are already gone. Strip mine is gone. Okay, once again, my opponent is deliberating. Like, pyrokinesis or fury could win it for me right now. Wasteland could be very strong for me. My opponent's in the tank here. I'm not sure if that bodes well for me or not. It's certainly not a straightforward play. Okay, Root Walla is actually a really good draw for them. But as I say, any removal from me is really strong here. That is what I'm after. Wasteland, awesome. And I have Pyro, Master of Death. Okay, me getting rid of their Bazaar here is pretty decent. Do I wait for removal or do I attack him with this thing and make a trade? What if they have another Bazaar? Okay, I'm going to sit back for a turn here, guys. I love having the Sui in the yard there. I mean, they can surgical, but their life is getting perilously low here. How many more Root Wallas do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So not many. Where is my removal? I am going to attack this time. I like it. I think I want to do that during their turn. What an interesting game. There's Fury. Yep. I don't think I need to react right now. Love the force of will there. Okay. Okay. They found a bizarre, unreal, guys. Okay. One card in hand. Okay. I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to keep the other red card in my hand, guys. What happened there? Oh, I've got way too many. The reason is that if they, I mean, they can't surgical me now, so that was probably just a bad play. I was thinking about I don't want my squeeze to get removed. So now a hollow one does not do it. I've got force of will up. They can't use pyrokinesis or fury because they're going down to one card in hand. Okay. Okay, guys, here we are in round 5, and I believe we are playing a mirror again. I'm going to put the vine on the bottom. Another powder. Boy, guys. Pretty tough start, I would say. So the question is what are we playing against here? That's the question. But my gut is we're playing against a mirror. Pretty tough mulligan to 4 here, but it happens. And it's not a death knell necessarily. It just really depends on how good of a start my opponent has and the type of backing they have in their hand. Like if this is a situation like if we draw a wasteland here, perhaps we can lock them out of the game and we can attrition them out. The mirrors are always tough. Now, of course, you don't want to mulligan to Oblivion. This is one of the detriments of playing these types of decks is sometimes they do mulligan and okay, double squee vine. That's pretty tough for us. Let's find a wasteland here. That was about the worst card we could ever find. Yeah, we're pretty cooked here, guys. because we are going to get wastelanded and we have no follow-up here. And this is not going to be enough to do anything really. Like if we had a Vengevine here, I think that would go a long ways with helping us, but the only saving grace for me is if my opponent doesn't have a wasteland, and I don't think it's that likely to be the case. And that, them drawing 2 cards off squee is pretty significant. The master and the squee there. Okay, well, we did get another turn. That is actually really lucky for us. They're discarding Noxious Revivals. Wow. Why are we drawing these Mindbreak traps? So close, guys. I mean, we got to get in. I realize a Vengevine could be coming back at any time here. Well, we're in the same holding pattern as last time, and are we going to get lucky twice? It's not probably likely, but we're crossing our fingers because we are back in this game if they can't find a wasteland or a strip mine here. Yeah, wow. Just look at the sheer card draw they have. But if they don't find anything here, they're just all on Mindbreak traps and Force of Wills, then we're in decent shape. Okay. Well, they did find a wasteland, as we knew they would. Is it too much to ask to just peel a Bazaar off the top? Okay, I mean, that's something. Noxious, okay. Okay, gonna go down to 5 here. They have double vine now. Okay, and they did hit their double vine. We will Mindbreak trap a hollow one. I mean, if we find a Bazaar here, funny enough, we're still in this game. It's times like this I wish I still ran Gaia's Cradle. Bazaar? Yuck. All right, well. This feels pretty anticlimactic after the last match that we had. That was just so good, but I haven't been able to put up much of a fight here in game 1. They're just churning like mad. Okay, another set of hollow or root wall is coming in. Once again, we could trap them here if they found a hollow one. I mean, those mind break drops have all been very good. My opponent's down to 0 cards here. Probably go down to 6 here. Bizarre. Okay. Fell up a bit short there on that one. I don't know what version Herman is on, whether they're ley line or they are just strictly on surgicals. I would like to get these in here, but maybe go down to 3 Force of Vigors. I'm just not sure, and it is worth having them if you're not certain. I think Fury is just better in this matchup. I feel pretty good here. Okay. We've got Double Bazaar. I feel pretty good about that. We've got Ley Line. We're only going to put 1 in. They have Ley Line 2. Okay. I don't really want to discard anything other than the Ley Line here. I'll just bide my time and we'll see what they do. I just prefer to have more cards in my hand in this situation. But if they put a lot of pressure on me here, it will obviously change my outlook significantly. It's pretty good discard. But if this is their only Bazaar, we should be able to overcome it. Now, where it's awkward if they have a hollow one. Yep. Okay. Second hollow one. So a very nice start from my opponent. That's going to kill me extremely quickly if I don't find Force of Vigor. Sure wish I had one earlier here. There is a Vigor. I'm going to keep the red for no, they will wasteland me almost assuredly. Oh, they just have another Bazaar. Okay. We need help here, guys. Green card, please. All right. There is a green card. I just think I have to let the squeeze go here. I'm not thrilled about it, but it is what it is. And we just have to hope that what we can do here is enough. It's a lot of pressure. That is not what I'm looking for. Yep, if we don't find a root walla here in the next 2 turns, we're dead. We will turn here, trying to hit one. And it's a big deal if we do. We didn't hit one. I will churn once here in my upkeep, one of my bazaars. Hopefully. Oh my god, guys. I will draw here. We did hit a root walla. Okay. I'll just do it in their upkeep before they draw. Two root wallas, please. That puts me in a really awkward spot here. I'm likely not going to win this. I mean, I haven't. How many did I exile? None. So it's possible. Because I hope it didn't just click through my block phase. Okay. $37. I have 7 root wallas. 1. We hit 1. And we're going to draw in case we draw a second red one. Okay, I am going to play it. Root walla? Oh, we hit 1. Let's see if we can hold the fort here. I'm not going to do it again right now. No attack. Oof. Same thing going. We got a root wall. Amazing. And another root walla. Still pretty vulnerable to pyrokinesis here. And we're going to go again. Ghost quarter. I got to try and kill them here. If they have a pyrokinesis, there's just nothing I can do about it. I'm going to play it out because I'm still in turbo churn mode here. I do have to watch how many cards I have in my library. Another root walla. Okay, that's good. Okay, master, not so much. Okay, guys. Sure. I'm not even really able to turbo churn anymore. That was a good draw. Guess I'll do it now. Force of Will is dead. I do have to be careful of Force of Vigor here as well. I can't just rely on the hollow one here. I have no problem attacking with it, but I don't think I churn right now. They are going to start manually discarding root wallas here very shortly. How many do I want to go with here? Probably should have churned my bazaar first. Okay, I can live with that. Root walla? Hollow one? How many squeeze do I have left? 1, 2, 3. I have one squee out of my remaining 9. I have 2 pyrokinesis hiding in there, so I do have a pretty good chance of drawing some red cards here. I mean, I'm going to win the game next turn if they don't have pyrokinesis or fury here. Wow! Talk about close. I was dead, and I just found root wallas in the most timely fashion. I am so pleased with that win. That was such a difficult spot to be in. Okay. So sideboarding is difficult here. Force of Will to me is a card that I value very highly in this matchup because it could be the difference between stopping a critical Force of Vigor on your ley line or stopping a Noxious Revival, getting your opponent right back into the game. And I value that more than I typically do with removal. And because someone is running Leyline of the Void, it makes Leyline a much juicier card to have in your deck because there's always the possibility that you can get a hollow one and a Leyline out of your opponent's off your opponent's board, and it makes it more worthwhile. I think this is where I want to be, guys. You kept at 7. Well, we're going to have to mulligan. Okay. No ley line for us. None from my opponent either, so we can take some solace in that. We're looking for surgical now. And my opponent to not have a great start. Unless it's double hollow one, then I could live with that. Uh-oh. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's a lot of power, guys. Okay, what can we get here? We're going to need a bit of help here to clean this board up. Let's see if they have a second bazaar. I think I am going to preemptively kill this hollow one here. I'm just trying to preserve my life total here. Surgical. Okay. This is not ideal. I feel like if I lose my bazaar here, I'm in quite a bit of trouble. Let my ghost quarter go. I'm not crazy either about the... I guess we'll see what my opponent has. Okay, they've got Fury. Take a screenshot. So I just need to fade a wasteland here, or a strip mine. But once again, we are in a tentative spot here. But if we can somehow find a red spell for Fury here, it's going to be pretty strong. Because, well, not pretty strong. I'm going to be able to wipe their board out. So I am dead next turn, unless I find an answer. So I need to bring back these masters. We just have to hope that our library serves us well here. Red spell. We didn't find it, guys. We died. That's really disappointing. Okay. I think we played that really well. We went in at the right time with our Force of Vigor. We were able to get rid of their bazaars, which was important. Now, I did admittedly lose those 2 life to the surgical to ensure that, but if they had another bazaar, we were cooked anyways, so we needed to do it. We have a lot of red cards in our deck there. We just didn't find anything in the top 3 or any root wallas to be able to... Well, root wallas, we're not going to do it because they had Fury. We needed to find a red card to remove this, and we would have took over the game, but we just couldn't find it. Anyways, guys, another good set of matches. As you can see, these are very finicky matches, and we tried to play it as skillfully as we could, but there is a randomness to it, and unfortunately, we fell victim to not finding a red card when we needed it, but the previous game we did get very lucky. We'll take it. Okay, guys, here we are in round 6 and playing Max Smith. No idea what they're on. They don't have any results that I could see. Okay, we have to mulligan. Wow. Look at all the powders. Guess I'll put a hollow one on the bottom. Do I even have any root wallers left? We lost a bunch there. I have to hope we hit a hollow one here. We did not hit. Do it like this. If we get wastelanded, we have a Noxious Revival, and misdirection we could potentially fight if they force it. Another bizarre mirror, guys. Unbelievable. 3 in a row. Like, this is just so unpleasant having to play the mirror. It's just so intricate. Okay, I mean, it just is what it is. I shouldn't have done it this way. I definitely would like to have that wasteland. But we've made the decision now. I'm not going to back it. We'll keep it for our own bazaar. Okay, we were not punished. Yeah, the issue that we're going to run into here is that we have exiled a lot of our root wallers already, and we're going to have trouble getting our vines going here. So we have to hope that we've stymied our opponent here on bazaars. Okay. The good news is we have a Noxious and we can fight over it. Bad news is that my opponent has 7 cards in hand, and that could mean trouble for me. They do have force. Okay, we're going to force back. Okay, looks like my thing's going to resolve. I may not do anything this turn at all. Okay, sure, they don't want their own bazaar. Well, I wasn't going to do anything anyways that turn. Yeah, they did have a bazaar. Okay. We got a game of it. Okay. It's pretty scary. Now it's our turn to go. Okay. Going to do it this way, because if I find a second root walla, or a second Vengevine. Oh no! I was thinking, oh my god, guys. That was a really big mistake on my part. I must be getting fatigued because I thought I had the Bazaar in play already and I was allowed to play a second, so I was going to look for another Vengevine. So I was sequencing like I could play a second Bazaar here. And of course, that's not ideal because I'm facing down 2 hollow ones here. Oops. Okay, no Vengevines in there. Or do they have a vine in there? No. Gonna play the other Bazaar out here. We're hanging on by the seat of our pants here. That was a really big mistake on my part. But perhaps I can get rid of these two hollow ones with a vigor. Let's see what happens. They have a lot of squeeze going on now. No attacks. I think I'm going to draw a Wasteland. I will pay 2 life here. It's just the world we're living in. I need to try and do something here. Get rid of one of their Bazaars. They're still drawing a lot with these squeeze, but there's not much I can do about that. Bazaar. Yeah, none of these are optimal draws for sure. I could get Wastelanded out of the game too, is another problem. Yep. That kills me. Or no, it doesn't. But what it does do is makes it so Master is not any good. Yeah, I'm pretty disappointed in this one, guys. I feel like or I'm not disappointed in this game. I'm disappointed that I've run into this deck 3 times in a row, and it's just such an unpleasant experience having to play the mirror. I don't know how other people feel about it, but it's just, I'm doing my best to outplay my opponents, but it's just, next to impossible to be able to do it because there's such a luck variance involved with it. Yeah, can't bring those back. Okay. I mean, I'm dead here. Doesn't matter. Even a Benjamin wouldn't be enough if I had one in my yard. Okay. Well, let's see if we can win games 2 and 3 here. I certainly don't. I'm not trying to come across as negative here, but I mean, there's a lot of people that are playing other decks in this challenge, assuredly, and for me to run into HollowVine 3 times in a row is just kind of silly. But that's what happens sometimes. You just run into mirror matches all day long. Like, Oath of Druids, that's a mirror I don't mind playing. This, I find it's really, really random. And as I say, like you do try and outskill your opponents, and you play to your outs as best you can, but it's like they have the huge aggro hand and you don't, you're screwed. Regardless of what you're trying to do. But you can't mulligan to it, right? That's the issue. Library has just pulled a lot of weight for me today in these mirrors. I am going to play it. I'm a little hesitant to call it a mirror breaker, but it has been very good. Try something like this. I would love to have the other pyrokinesis in here. I just don't know what you cut. Like, everything has significant value in the deck, more so than what a pyrokinesis is bringing. Opponent kept another 7. Come on, man. I honestly don't know that I can do anything here. Just going to play, like my hand is just not built to be able to do anything. Pass turn. Move towards the library here and hope they don't pressure me. Like at least if I had some discard equity, right, it wouldn't be so bad. But this is just how you lose with this deck, right? Like you play your Bazaar out, you have a crappy hand, and yes, you're drawing 2 cards. You get wastelanded and you're out of the game. That's the issue that I feel like I have here. Just have to hope they're not pressuring here. I realize I'm giving up some equity here with them, getting board presence, but okay. So library is not likely to get a whole lot of juice going here, but I wish I could get my library back, but that's okay. I'll just draw a card off it. They got vigor. Okay. I mean, they're low on resources here. Guess we get rid of the force of will. Double master, you've got to be joking. All right. Hollow one, please. Nope. Wasteland? Nope. Okay. Get in. I could Fury here, but I'm going to wait a turn and see what happens if I need to remove a bigger threat. The fact they have double squee or double master here is pretty hard on me, though. All right. Let's hope this works. Should. We're going to have to fade this one here. This is going to be a tough one to get by here. Okay. They did not wasteland me. I guess that is the good news. They had a force. Okay. Bizarre again here. against my better judgment, I'm putting my Bazaar away here, and I'm going to try and take them off of theirs. And we just have to hope. We're going to have to get a little bit lucky here. But we do have a couple masters coming back next turn. We're still in this, as long as we don't get wastelanded. We'll definitely throw a block up here. Yeah, this is not good, guys. Double root wall. Okay. We got one. I mean, we're in this. If I can hit another root walla here off my Bazaar, this is big game. We did too. Wow. I'm going to attack. Look, I got to try and win here. Like, if my opponent has another pyrokinesis, I mean, what am I supposed to do? But this makes it so their noxious revivals are off. If they want to bring their master back, it comes at a... Okay, they did bring it back. Okay, that allows me to attack and kill them. So, not sure how we pulled that one off, guys, but we have been winning these games by the hair on our chinny chin chin today. Okay. I did once again like library there. I liked it in theory of, I only drew a card off it, but my opponent immediately recognized the danger of the card. I might shave a Force of Will and put in an extra pyrokinesis. Like, my gut wants to take out a Force of Vigor, but I just think that is just such a dangerous thing to do. Now we got to keep going down to... Okay, that's great. I mean, great's an overstatement, but we have a Bazaar and a hollow one, so I'm pretty happy with that. Hopefully they don't have a hollow one here. I really wanted to find a blue card there, guys. My opponent didn't put a lot of pressure on me here. Let's just hope that they don't have another Bazaar here, and we'll see how we do from there. Okay, so they got a squee back. So let's see if we can fade a second Bazaar here. Nope. So this is where you can get attritioned out. Like, if your opponent just has recurring Bazaars and you're constantly trying to battle the Bazaar, well, they discarded a Wasteland. Blue card, please. Okay, that's pretty good. I am going to attempt to get it. Look, you got to try your best here. I gave my opponent an opportunity to Noxious. They didn't bite, and in their upkeep, I'm going to do it. Okay, so they've surgicaled their own Bazaar to prevent me from doing this. So we'll see what they have. I'm not sure what happened there. What did they do? Okay, strip mine and pyrokinesis. So they do have a pyrokinesis. So the opponent misclicked. That is unfortunate for them. They have a strip mine here. Okay. And I know they have a pyrokinesis squeeze. So, I mean, I'm not completely... I should be favored from here. But I'm not out of the woods completely yet. Close. I'm going to get this in to try and stem the tide. And if they're going to pitch their pyrokinesis here, I think it's totally fine. Yep. Now what I need to fade here is another surgical. Squee is gone. Pyrokinesis gone. Yep. Come on, Bazaar. All right, that's pretty good. If I can just get to untap and not lose my Bazaars here. My opponent is chipping away at me, though. I feel like I could take another hit here. I kind of want the force of will. And next turn, I should be able to find some semblance of a board here that I can protect. That would be the ideal situation. Oh, I want that. Okay. Yeah, it was a close one. My opponent made a mistake there. I don't know that they were winning from there. I mean, they were going to be able to save one of their Bazaars, and who's to say whether they could have actually brought one back or would have drawn one had I not been able to get all their surgicals. But they negated my surgical by surgicaling themselves, only removing one and leaving Bazaars on their deck. There was two on their deck. That was their idea, and regardless, we will take that. These are just such funny matches to play, three in a row, and we've definitely squeaked some out. I mean, I would say we got really lucky in a number of places, but we'll take that. And yeah, guys, I think that's going to be the end of my tournament here. This is round 6. We ended up 4-2. Had to battle out 3 different HollowVine matches, which was not what we were intending when we put this deck together. But that said, guys, as always, I appreciate you hanging out, and remember, like, comment, and subscribe. I do appreciate it. And yeah, why don't we just quickly deliberate here before we move on, and we'll see where we end up landing as well. So I did want to talk very briefly about Library of Alexandria. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, it is a tech that I've used a number of times over the years playing with HollowVine, and it usually goes the wayside because of more important sideboard cards. But today was a really good showcase for this card. I think there were 3 different games, and 2 of them where I believe Library of Alexandria won me the game. The third time, I only drew 1 card off it, but my opponent immediately recognized the threat in a mirror. All 3 of these times were mirrors, where you're just battling it out. And one time, I remember I had all of my Bazaars surgical. My opponent still had Bazaars, and I was using Library of Alexandria to draw every card. an extra card every turn, and with Squeeze and the library, I was able to manually discard a lot more efficiently and animate Vengevines by discarding Root Wallas. It's kind of a neat tech because the idea behind it is, Pithing Needle. It was my original idea. A lot of people are playing Pithing Needle against me, and turn one, this is a way that you can outdraw that with a needle. You just play your library and you start drawing cards, and off you go to the races. You're discarding and able to kill them with vines that way. But of course, we didn't see a Pithing Needle all day. We just saw HollowVine matches. That said, guys, not a whole lot else to say about the deck. I mean, it's relatively stock at this point. I still think my sideboard mapping requires a little bit of work here. I do feel like these Pyrokinesis Furies have calmed down a little bit with reference to how much you actually need all of this. I think the original idea behind the Pyrokinesis was to be able to combat Hull Breachers and Bowmasters. I'm not seeing a ton of these right now. I'm seeing Jewel Shops, and I'm seeing Bizarre Mirrors. That's what I've been running into in the challenges recently. Of course, I do see some Luris and stuff like that, but I don't know that we need all 5 of these in the current metagame right now. You might be able to cheat a little bit on that and, up another Ghost Quarter or something of that nature. Okay, guys, so we didn't end up in the top 8 there. Our breakers didn't hold. Only one 4-2 ended up making it in, so I ended up in 14th place.